Finally connect with you.
Yeah, I was trying to connect with you from last few days. You're busy, but luckily I got the opportunity today to talk with you.
Good, man. I'm excited. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. So, how are you doing?
Good, good, man. Good. It's a it's a relaxing Sunday afternoon over here in I live in Ellicott City, Maryland, which is not too far from Washington D.C. So it's always busy, but Sundays it's kind of relaxed.
Awesome. So, I
Yeah.
thought I've gone through your profile and it was very impressive. So, I thought to talk with you and tell about the work that you are doing to my audience.
Oh, excellent, man. Yeah, yeah. Go
Yeah.
for it.
So, can you please introduce yourself to my audience and to the world who is listening and watching this?
Excellent, excellent. Well, I'm Steve Worthy. I am CEO of Worthy RetailU. It is a online platform that we focus in on executive coaching for retail leaders, and I also have Retail Leadership with Steve Worthy. It is a podcast. We do an audio podcast each week, and then I also do live streaming from a podcasting standpoint. We do that at least 2 to 3 times a week, and we focus once again on retail leadership. We try to help people understand how to advance their career, how to fit in with their culture within the retail environment, but then also we focus in on how can they communicate their message and their leadership better as they continue to grow within their retail journey.
Okay, so it is your own company.
Yes, yes.
So what exactly it is about and when you started this and what is your inspiration? Who inspired you and what made you to start this?
Oh, it's a good question, man. That's a good question. I think a lot of times, especially with leadership, a lot of the inspiration comes out of the experiences that I've had with other leaders that have impacted my life. And so really that's kind of where it started. So I had another company before this one. It was Worthy Leadership Group, and where I pretty much did the same thing, but that was inspired from leaders who have been part of my journey as a leader. And I've been doing retail for about 20, 25 years in different levels. And so I always found myself connecting with other leaders and or people who were either trying to figure their journey out, they didn't know exactly what they wanted to do, or they needed help with their communication, or they needed help with just some leadership gap that they had in their life. And people like that would gravitate to me, and I said, okay, this is actually really cool. I actually have the opportunity to give back. And so that's actually what I've been really doing with this, is really kind of giving back to leaders who may not know exactly, who may be trying to find their leadership voice, and we do that through coaching. The idea about coaching is really just to help somebody get from where they currently are to where they want to go. And a lot of times they don't know where they want to go, so we help kind of define that journey together as well.
So tell me about your experience, the work experience.
Yeah. So, wow, a lot of it started with like I was in the Air Force. So I was in the military right after what we call high school over here in the States, and so that was really kind of where my leadership journey started. And if I could be very honest with yourself and your listeners, I didn't want to be a leader. I didn't. I actually ran from that responsibility while I was in the Air Force. I was put into a leadership role, and I didn't want it. I was like 18 years old, and I was like, I don't want to do this, and so I did whatever I could to get out of that role, and I did. However, my training instructor put me in another role that actually had more responsibility unbeknownst to me. And one of the things he said to me, and this has stuck with me my entire life, he said, Worthy, my last name is Worthy. He said, Worthy, leadership will always find you out. And what he meant by that is that a lot of times people will see things in you that you don't even see within yourself just yet. And you have to trust that person, that they're trying to put you in a position to succeed. But for me, I was fighting against it until until he put me into that second role of leadership. And then from there, my leadership journey just kind of took off. I was actually thrust into a leadership role, and from there, I fell in love with the idea of leadership, the concepts, the the thought processes, how to help people. From the military, I actually started right into retail. I had multi-unit roles with in the specialty coffee industry. I've worked for some of the largest actually retailers in multi-unit roles here in the United States. And then from that point on, I started doing executive coaching probably about 10 years ago, and just fell in love with that process, and I've been doing it ever since.
So, when your superior said you to, when your superior gave you that responsibility that you are never before, so how you started, that is completely new for you, and you don't know what to do and how to do it, how you uh, habituated that, and how you adapted to that
Oh,
position.
that's a great question. That's a great question because here's what happens sometimes when you are thrust into a leadership role. Yeah, you don't know what to do, but I think for me, one of the things that I figured out first was like, okay, what's the goal? And so the new role that he put me into in the military, you have to go through basic training. So I was in basic training at the time, and there was, I think, about 60 of us or so in this squadron. And the role that he put me in was that I had a responsibility. This is the second role. I had responsibility for the cleanliness of the entire bathroom. So just think about it in this context. It's 60 guys. It's in the summer, and we're all between 18 and 27 years old from all different walks of life, and it's hot and it's sticky and it's nasty, and I am responsible for the cleanliness level of this bathroom, and where we get weekly we get weekly what do they call them? Oh my gosh. They visit the bathroom, they score your bathroom, and they judge your bathroom based on the cleanliness level. And so I was put into that responsibility. And so one of the things I had to figure out was like, okay, what's my goal? My goal is to keep a clean bathroom, and to make sure that as much as possible, whenever they come to inspect our bathroom, we actually have to be able to pull it together really quickly, right? Because you can't not have guys use the bathroom, right? So what we did was that I said, okay, this is the goal. We have to be able to, it's almost like a rapid response team. And I said, so this is what we're gonna do. We divided the bathroom in half. This half of the bathroom you guys can use. This half of the bathroom you can't, because this half of the bathroom has to remain spotless. So that way, if we have an inspection, all we actually have to do is worry about this other piece, this other portion. We did the same thing with the showers. We said, hey, this portion of the showers, that's it. You can only take showers. And we created a schedule. They didn't like it. I didn't care. And we worked through that process for 6 weeks. And that that process taught me about delegation. It taught me about um, putting people on my team that were different than me, that had different strengths. Um, and the other thing was okay for me to have a little muscle. So I had these big guys that were on my team that kind of were almost my enforcers. So they would like, hey, Worthy said don't go in the bathroom, and they were like 6'6", 6'7" guys. I'm like 5'11", and so I utilized what I had. I said no, I can't have you in the bathroom. So I had some bodyguards, if you will, for the bathroom. And so but that was part of my leadership growth and understanding what I needed to do for putting together a different team.
So after completion, after coming out from the army, so what was your first job?
Oh, my first job. I went to. So when I got out of the Air Force, I went into college and I got my undergrad degree, my bachelor's degree in accounting, and that was my first job out of college and out of the service was accounting, and I hated it. I lasted, I think, 5 months in accounting. I couldn't stand it, because I was stuck in a room, in an office, and I'm looking at a computer all day, and I'm trying to like look at balance sheets and all these other things, and accounts, and reconciling accounts, and I was just like, dude, this is not me. This is not my personality at all. And so I said, I got to figure something out. So I took a trip to visit my relatives, and I came upon this company. I was there for about like a week or so, maybe almost like 7 days. I mean, almost 10 days. And so I came across this company. It was a specialty coffee company. And I went in there and I said, oh, I like this. I like the vibe in here. This is actually really cool. I spoke to the manager. Um, he and I had a really good conversation. His boss was actually visiting his cafe at the time. I got to meet him, and how things happened. Within about 2 days, his boss's boss, the regional guy, was coming into town, and they asked me if I wanted to go play golf. I was just learning how to play golf, and little did I know, we played 18 rounds, but that entire 18 rounds was a job interview. It wasn't so much me playing golf. They were just asking me about leadership and my experience and all this other stuff. And within 2 days after that, I got a job offer to be a district manager in training. And from that point on, as they say, the rest is history. That was like my first multi-unit job that I loved. It fit my personality, and it just it allowed me to be me, to develop people quickly, to go to different business units, because every business unit is different. And so it allowed me to always kind of utilize my brain differently and not just be set in one area of leadership. I had to lead this person differently. I had to lead this team differently. And for me, it was just a perfect situation. And I've been in those situations for the rest of my career, just making sure that I'm able to kind of lead people differently, because I don't want to get stale. And I want my people to be able to grow and expand. And so the only way I'm going to be able to do that if I'm doing that myself.
So the previous job of yours was different, and this job is different. So, what would you say if I say you to compare both, and what you learned from both?
Ooh, ooh. Um, you know, what's different from both from the military, you can't lead. Military is all about, I give you an order and you follow it. Period. You don't question it. You don't second guess it. You get the order and you follow it. So I had a rough experience. I had a rough time initially transferring into the private sector from the military. From a leadership standpoint, I had the leadership bones, but I was still leading a little bit from that military standpoint of like, hey, you do as I say, and it will be good. And what I realized, and what the difference was about relationships, and was truly about understanding like people, right? I know that's a phrase that gets tossed around so much. We have to understand people, no, but to truly understand people, you have to listen, and you have to take time, and it takes time. And if you take the time up front to get to know people, to get to know your team, guess what? You can accelerate the growth and the and the goals that you have because you've created a foundation of relationship that you can tie into. Now you're mutually vested in the relationship and the project, and now you can move forward. In the military, you're just vested in the order that's given, right? Whether it's, go do this. Okay, sir, I'm doing it, right? You don't question it, right? You don't, a lot of times in the military, you don't know the ultimate goal because depending on your rank, you are just a cog, if you will, in the bigger process, and that's okay. I love that process of the military. I love the process of the chain of command, but in the private sector, it is truly about relationship and helping people know who you are and what you stand for. Because if you can do that, then you'll get more out of people. You'll get the best out of people. And that's what you really want. You don't want to just to get more. You want to get the best out of people. And the only way you're ever going to do that is to have a really good relationship and rapport with them.
It's really interesting that yeah, you changed the jobs and you adapted to the new one, and you learned something that completely different from what you learned before. So after that, what you did, and what was your age when you completed your second job?
Ooh, so I was 25 at that time. Um, and then from from the specialty coffee company, I went into same thing, multi-unit, and but it was a company called Barnes and Nobles that we have over here in the States. It's a big book company. Remember bookstores now? Now everybody, even myself included, we buy all our books online, right? We used to go into bookstores and sit down and like actually look at the book and stuff. And so that was a different industry, for me, but same principles applied. Same principles applied. For me, every time I moved from one company to the next, it wasn't so much about it wasn't so much about the company. And I don't know, this may be different than, I don't know, maybe some of your other guests probably thought the same way. It wasn't so much about the company. It was really about me trying to expand my leadership and trying to expand who I was. And so a lot of times I moved to companies. I even moved out of the retail industry for a while. I moved into the project management industry for about maybe 2.5 years. And that was a completely different industry than retail. But I moved into that industry because it was challenging to me. And the role that I had was around helping companies initially identify their business pain. I was working for this company in Atlanta, and my goal was to go into different companies. It didn't matter. It didn't matter the industry. It could be telecommunications. It could be pharmaceuticals. It could be retail. It could be, for a furniture company. It didn't matter. My job was to go into these companies and help them identify a business pain that they had, whether it was lack of productivity from their team, whether it was issues with their supply chain, whether it was competition that was moving into their market and taking market share. And the goal was to help them identify that pain, but then we would come in and use project management principles to help them solve that. So going into that industry, I can't. It was it was probably one of the best things that I've ever done, um, because it helped me increase my level of discipline for asking why and asking deeper and broader questions of not just business but of myself and of people. Because at the same time when I was with that company, I went back to grad school and I was getting my MBA, and so it was like the perfect fit of like that project management, learning how to understand a project, but going to different companies, and then also understanding critical thinking, which is really the biggest part of getting your MBA is for me it was understanding the critical thinking aspect, and now those two together, man. And then I moved back into retail, and it put me at another level. It put me at another level with like my peers. It put me at another level with like kind of like my leadership, the confidence that I had. It was more of a calm confidence. As you can tell, I'm a New Yorker, so we're kind of brash and like right. So that it kind of calmed me down as a leader and really centered me and allowed me to kind of lead out of um, being Steve and not my position, and it just set me up for a completely different level for leadership.
So when you started this, your own company?
Oh gosh, so I've had a couple different ones. So when I lived in Atlanta, the church that I went to, they had a class to teach entrepreneurship. So here's the interesting thing is that that same company that I worked for when I was doing project management, a buddy of mine, he went to the same church, and so we were actually teaching a class together, and we were teaching people who wanted to start a business. This was in 2003 or 4, something like that. No, maybe 5, I think. And we were teaching people who wanted to learn how to start a business, put a business plan together, marketing plan, all these things that nowadays you don't really need. You just go. But we were like helping people understand that. And so I started a business called Worthy Business Solutions, and I was helping people with their business plans and their marketing plans. And then what I realized, once again, I'm really quick in figuring out what I don't like. And I realized that I hated like the writing aspect of the business plan and like the computer work and all of that stuff. I hate it. I'm like, okay, no patience. But what I realized that I did like was actually consulting and sitting down with you and us having a cup of coffee, and then we're writing everything out, and you go and do your portion of it, I'll give you action steps, and you come back in a week, and next thing you know, now we got the formulation of a business. Now we have the formulation of a business plan or a marketing plan. That was some coaching before I call myself a coach. Those are the things that I was actually doing. And so I did that for a while, and then we left Atlanta, and then I was actually still doing coaching. I still had people from Atlanta calling me and asking me to coach, which I didn't call it that. I called it consulting. But I just had a lot of people still calling me to do that. And so I was still doing that, even though I was doing different roles in retail. And then I started Worthy Leadership Group it was about 4 years ago. It's about 4 years ago. And I started doing really focused in on diverse leaders and, that market. But what I realized was that, and then that's when I actually started a podcast too at that same time. But what I realized was that my heart was in retail, and my heart was for the retail leader. And so I switched to Worthy RetailU. Actually, I just did that this year. I just switched to Worthy RetailU this year. And so the goal with Worthy RetailU is we're creating courses. We do group and individual coaching for retail leaders, but then we also have those different platforms on YouTube and Facebook group and LinkedIn group. One of the goals that we have for 2022 is that we're going to start our own private membership group that's going to be off of Facebook and off of LinkedIn. That there's going to be more concentrated coaching and content that I can give. I got a whole bunch of stuff in my head that I'm ready to share, and so we're excited about kind of the future of where we're going.
So you are into different professions in different times of your life. So as a person, as a leading person, so what do you think that worked for you to make things possible?
What do you mean? I'm sorry. One more time. Can you say that? Repeat it one more time.
So you are into different professions in your life, and which are completely different. One is different from other. So what do you think as a leader, as a leading person, what do you think that worked for you to be a great leader, and what do you think that worked for you to make things possible?
Oof, dude, that's a big question. That's a big question, man. I think, when I got my first leadership book when I was 27. My old Pastor Philip Davis, gave me the book, and it was a John Maxwell book, and it was called "Developing the Leader Within You." And in that book, it talked about the 5 levels of leadership, and the first one being position, and then the last one being personhood. The position leader that's it. They're the leader based off of their position, and the personhood leader is based off of their character, and people want to follow you based off of who you are, and not what you can do for them, not because of your position, but because of who you are. And so for me, I think it was a goal, and it's still a goal, because as my Pastor Davis said, he said, "Steve, you'll never get your PhD in leadership." And he said, you'll never get your PhD in God. You're always learning, you're always growing. But for me, the goal was to be seen and be felt as a personhood leader, that I wanted people to be able to follow me out of who I am. Um, yes, maybe a little bit about what I can give them in the context of leadership advice, coaching, and thoughts. Um, so for me, it's just been a continuous journey of how do I continue to improve. One of the things that I say, and I say this all the time, and we talk about this in our coaching, is that the more you know yourself, the more you can say no. The tendency a lot of times, from a leader standpoint, is that if you don't really know who you are as a leader, you will look at every shiny object. We just did an article the other day, about the shiny object syndrome. Basically, it's the next best thing comes up, the next marketing tool. Oh, I like that. The next, social media, tool. Oh, I want to do that, or I want to do that. It's like the next. It's like the squirrel. It's like this shiny object just comes, and you just start looking. You don't know, you're not focused, and so there's a lot of leaders that do that, and they jump from this to this to this. And I say that the more you know yourself, the more you're grounded, the more the value system you have that you can create based off of who you are, not based off of anybody else, but based off of who you are. The more you can say no to all those little shiny things that keep popping up, because they're not the best thing for you. They may be good, they may be okay, but they're not the best thing for you. And you can say no to that and focus in on the best. And I think that has helped me, as a leader, become a little more understanding and sure of who I am and what I stand for. And I'm able to say yes to a lot of the really good stuff. Like finally connecting with you. This was a definite for me. And I think that's probably been a decent, piece of my success. I think the other thing is, is knowing people, and I can I can read I can read a room fairly quickly, and kind of and really know who's in charge without them saying something. It's all body language, right? With my team, I can, understand kind of who they are. I can empathize with them, and then I can communicate therein. So I think it's a culmination of, like, continuously growing myself as a leader, and making sure my value system is always solid. But then it's also making sure that I'm always connected and know my people, and know what I can give them when I need to give them something. And it has to be at the right time, and has to be the right message.
So as a communicator, I'm sure in all your life, you might have met a lot of leaders and a lot of people who are into different positions. So while interacting with them, or while listening to them, and while talking with them, and what is the thing that that always makes you to learn and observe in them, and how you communicated? What is the greatest quality that you have that made people to connect with you uh, uh, and take them you as a leader?
Ah, I think this is a lot of people don't talk about this, but there's it's a approachability, right? It's just that ability for people to actually feel that they can trust you and come to you with certain things, or that they can actually approach you. So a lot of times in my roles, I'll be visiting different stores, and the tendency is that, okay, well, this higher up, which is me, I'm going into the stores, and a lot of times like, oh my gosh, here they come, and they're not going to have time to speak to us. They're just focused in on this, and I don't do that. I don't do that. I talk to everybody. I talk to the cart attendant. I talk to the cashier. I talk to whoever it is. I think approachability is something, it's almost a lost art in leadership, is because you have to be approachable. People have to be able to come to you and to be able to um, feel that they could almost kind of bare their soul, and that you won't hold it against them. They can come to you and say something that is really maybe negative, either about like their business or about their leadership, and they can feel that you're going to be like, okay, all right. You're not going to turn around and say, oh my gosh, well, you suck, you're horrible. Like, no, approachability is like, hey, come to me, talk to me, and let's figure out how we can work through this together. And some of the best leaders that I've come in contact with have that. Yes, they have the experience. Experience, of course, is great. But what they also have, and I've learned, is what we call, John Maxwell calls, evaluated experiences. You can have all the experience in the world, but if you haven't evaluated your experience to figure out whether or not it was something that you've learned from, or something that you need to teach somebody else, then it's just an experience. But the evaluated experience is something that you internalize, and it actually complements who you are as a leader. So that approachability, the ability to understand evaluated experiences, and then also to just be very candid about what it is that is wrong. If it's something that's right, or if it's just something that's wrong, it's okay, right? And so I think those are some of the traits that I've looked at. I've seen a lot of leaders be successful with, and I've tried to implement those into my leadership journey.
Your words are really hard hitting. Your experience is making people to think, especially me. I'm sure people who watches and listens to this say this. So it's really effective. It's really powerful what you're saying. So now you all your in your experience you learned. Now you're giving back. So how is this? How do you call yourself? You was a learner before. Now you became a teacher.
Yeah, yeah. So we use, one of the things throughout my journey, I've I've realized a couple different things, and we try to put this into our coaching practice. And if you go to our website, we call it the GEM approach. And GEM, the G standing for grow, the E is for empower, and the M is for multiply. Because throughout my career, one of the things that I've learned is that whenever I start something new, I have to learn how to grow. And before you just think about a plant. Before a plant can even grow, it has to be planted. And so for me as a leader, the growth process comes with being planted and being immersed into the culture of that company, of that team, understanding my team, understanding myself within that growth process, understanding how I need to have evaluated experiences and how that's going to help me grow. So that's the G part, right? And it's also you just really kind of understanding that you need to have a leadership voice. The empowerment phase is just that. It is where you start to hone your leadership voice, but you also start to understand a little bit about self-awareness. You understand about emotional intelligence and how that plays. And I got to tell you, one of the other underestimated, I think, attributes that a leader can have is the ability to be self-aware, is to understand. As a young leader, I would over leverage, as we talked earlier about approachability. As a young leader, I would over leverage my approachability because that was my sweet spot. Had a great ability to connect with teams and connect with people, but as a young leader, I over leveraged it, and I didn't problem solve because I was too busy being approachable. And so in the empowerment phase, you understand self-awareness, you understand how to temper that strength, and then also how to work with your opportunities and put yourself in positions so that you can actually maybe hone that opportunity where it's not so much an opportunity anymore. It's just something that actually it won't turn into a strength, but it becomes less of an opportunity, and you can actually deal with it, and you can still be a successful leader. The multiply phase is just that as well. Now you're at the point where you can multiply your leadership. You can actually give, you can give a little bit more of yourself to your team. You can give a little bit more of yourself to the organization. And here's the thing about the gym approach. It's an iterative process. What I've learned is that at every level that I go to, it starts over. So if I'm a store manager, the gym approach is at this level. That's great. Next, if I go to multi-unit, you know what? I got to start back over. I got to grow, empower, and multiply. Guess what? Because the circumstances are completely different. The level of your leadership needs at this level are going to be completely different. Now, if you go to a senior vice president role, guess what? It starts over again. And you have to be okay with sometimes starting over with your understanding of something, so that you can actually take a step back. So then once you kind of get it and you put it into your kind of your ethos and who you are, then you can kind of accelerate. And so just using that gym approach, helping people understand how to grow, empower, and multiply is something that we use and we've seen a lot of success with.
So, if I ask you to compare you as a person uh, who was scared when your superior gave you the responsibility, and with the person who you are today, so what do you say? What is the difference that you are observing?
Oh,
What is there is a lot of difference.
yeah. Here's the thing. Leadership is about, I honestly think it's about two things. It's about reward, or it's about the responsibility. And that young leader, I didn't want the reward. I didn't want the responsibility. I didn't want any of it. I was just like, I just want to be. Like, just let me be. I don't want to do anything. I just want to be okay until I got thrust into that role. And then I realized, here's the thing. I think I did at that point in time. I didn't want the responsibility. So it was not so much the reward. I think at that time, I don't want the responsibility. I just want to be. Now, as a older leader, I accept the responsibility, like, easily. Like, I get it. Like, it's not a hard sell for me to understand that I have to be responsible for a team, or of people, or money, or a business unit, financials. That's the easy part. And then this may sound kind of cliche, but it's not. It's the truth. But the reward is the people, and seeing them grow and develop. The best piece of advice that I got was from a mentor and a sponsor, Jim Hogan, and I asked him, like, I don't know, it was probably about 12 years ago, it was 15 years ago, and I asked him, what's the key to success? I was starting with a new company, And he didn't say anything about financials. He didn't say anything about results. He said, Steve, develop and export great talent. And I thought about that, and I just realized, I was like, initially I was like, that's just the stupidest thing. Don't you have to make money? Don't you have to beat your sales from last year? Don't you have to, all this stuff? And then I started to realize, it's like, no, he said, no, it's, if you can develop and export great talent, guess what? All those people that you export, all those people that you develop, they become a little microcosm, if you will, of Steve Worthy. It's a piece of your legacy, if you will. Jim Jim passed away about 2 years ago from cancer, and I often think about our time together, and he's impacted so many other people's their lives. I often wonder if he ever thought about like his legacy, that almost at any moment, whenever I talk about leadership, I bring up his name. Like that's his legacy, for me. And so when I think about what I'm trying to do, how many people am I truly impacting, and what's my legacy going to be? So from that younger Steve to this older Steve, I accept the responsibility, and the reward is developing and exporting and coaching great people.
So what actually your business is right now? So what you're telling, what you're teaching, and what exactly people are going to learn from you, and how big your company is now.
Yeah. So, right now, what a lot of people struggle with, what they're struggling with is what we've been seeing a lot is two things. A lot of people feel like they're running out of time. A lot of people that we're coaching, they feel like they're running out of time and what they mean by that is that they feel like they're running out of time to do something of significance, and they want to leave their mark on the world, and they think it has to be something big and massive. They think it has to be this big grandiose thing that they actually have to, go and build an ivory tower and do all this other stuff. And what we meaning me, what I try to help them with is to understand it's about the journey. It's about taking stock in the journey and the people that you've come in contact with. But it's also about developing your value system and what it is that you want to stand for. And we spend a lot of time with that. We spend a lot of time. We do a personality test, and it's called Enneagram. The United States, we are so big on like personality tests and all these other different things. But the Enneagram, it talks about 9 different personality types. And the thing, if you can look it up and research it too, but the thing that I really like about the Enneagram, we use that as as one of the pieces of our intake. So when they do it, man.
Yeah. So you are selling something.
I can't remember. What was I talking about? Holy crap! I can't remember what I was talking about. What was I saying? What was I saying, man? Because I was actually I got more concerned for you, because I was like, is he okay? It's like, and I think I I wanted to make sure you were good to go, and I think I lost my train of thought at that time, so I do apologize. What were we talking about? I think we were talking a little bit about maybe we were talking a little bit about our approach. I think maybe the gym approach or something like that, and responsibility, different things along that line. So I can't remember, but you can go and ask another question.
Yeah, sure. So you are into different professions in your life. So now you became a teacher, and you're giving back to the world. Now, so
That's what it was.
Yeah.
That's what it was. That's what are we talking to our people about, our clients about? That's what it was. Or what am I seeing? And so that's what it was. We were talking about that it was twofold, that a lot of them feel like they're running out of time. Here we go. I'm back on track now. a lot of them feel like they're running out of time to do something of significance. That's what it was. And what we've had to help them realize was that it's not this big, you know, build an ivory tower type of deal, put your name on a billboard type of achievement that's really going to be impactful. It's the everyday connections and encounters that you have with people in your team. Those are going to be the most important pieces of significance that you're ever going to achieve. Yes. Do you want to, if you want to start a business, we can walk you through some of those things, but helping them understand that, you know, a lot of times it's getting past the negative talk that they've actually had in their entire life as a child. A lot of things that may have, as a coach, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a counselor, so we don't delve deep into that. Oh, and I was talking a little bit about the personality types. That's where I left off, because we do the Enneagram, and I apologize if I'm jumping all around here. I'm just trying to get myself back to where I left off. Um, and then the Enneagram is a 9 personality type model, and it's we use that to help them understand about their personality and who they are. The thing about a lot of personality types is that they're very surface level, and they give you stuff just kind of based off of business stuff and where you are right now and within your role. The Enneagram delves deeper into truly like your heart and like who you are. Like, I don't know, it's literally, and I don't say this jokingly, it literally changed my life and how I think about myself and what I know about myself. And I don't put full, like 100%. Oh my gosh, this is I don't do anything but trust this. But it gives me a really good understanding of who I am, and it causes me to pause, but then ask more questions about myself. And so we utilize that to help people understand who they are and maybe some of the roadblocks and hurdles that they need to overcome. The second thing that we really focus in on and help people with, and this can go into different extremes, is the idea, the concept of imposter syndrome. And that is the idea of feeling that you're not good enough to do what it is that you want to do. Like, you want to write a book. Oh my gosh, nobody's going to read my book. Who's going to read my book? I'm not worthy enough to write a book. I want to start a company. Nobody's going to buy my product, so I'm not going to even start. Or yourself, I'm quite sure probably initially maybe you were like, oh, do I really want to like interview all these people, And then you're like, and then so you got past that, and guess what? Now I don't even know how many people you've interviewed. But I know it's a ton, but you've been able to get past that. And so helping people kind of get past that idea of self-doubt, low self-esteem, and realizing that the big thing about, I honestly, I think about what you do and what I do is that it's not about us. It's about the people that listen to our message, that'll listen to this, right? It's not about you and I. It's about the people that'll listen to this, and hopefully, you and I have been able to change somebody's thought process about something. And it's the same thing with like imposter syndrome and helping them understand. Imposter syndrome only happens when you're really about to do something big. You're about to do something outside of your wheelhouse. When you are comfortable where you are, you don't get that feeling of like, oh my gosh, like no one's going to read this. It's because you're comfortable. But when you're about to do something like of significance, that maybe some of that self-doubt will creep in. It does. We're all humans, and that's okay. That just lets you know that you're about to do something big. And so you need to utilize that and as a springboard to understand that, hey, this is going to be something big. But at the end of the day, it's not about me. It's about the people that are going to receive my message, work with me in the business, listen to my podcast or whatever. It's about them. And once we focus in on that, man, you can do anything.
So, what is your podcast is about?
Yeah. So it is It is. So the first podcast that we had, it was the Worthy podcast, and so we were focused in on a lot of leadership issues, and we talked about imposter syndrome, we talked about enneagrams, and we talked a little bit about leadership and some other attributes in therein. Right now, what we focus, of course, is it's called Retail Leadership with Steve Worthy. We focus in on the retail leader, and here's the thing that I know is that there are about, I want to say, 3 out of 5 people, and definitely in the United States, have worked in or know somebody that has worked in the retail world. And the retail world is super fast paced. It is so quick. And the ideas and the decisions that a leader has to make within that retail environment are so vast. I think what I did some research, and I think they say that the average person makes 35,000 decisions per day. And a lot of those decisions are on cruise control, right? It's like how you brush your teeth, how do you get to work, how do you put your clothes on? Like all of those things are kind of like cruise control. You don't even think about it. But then you think about it in a retail environment where you have customers, product, visitors, associates, sales, environmental things, weather. You have all these different, I mean, so many different variables, and that you are constantly changing and thinking about things differently. The velocity of your decisions impact, and dare I say this, because I do say it, that decisions, they impact everybody every day, all over the world. They truly do, and we focus in on helping them understand how to advance their career, focus in on how they fit within their corporate and market culture. But then also we focus in on helping them communicate. Those are our 3 pillars: career advancement, culture, and communication. And we base everything kind of around that, because what I've noticed in my career is that those are the 3 things that I've seen and I've helped people a lot with in retail, are those 3 areas: is career advancement, their communication, and how do they fit, how do they remain themselves as a leader within that corporate culture as they move up the ladder. Because the tendency is that you start to become something that you're not, just to fit in. And so my goal is to help them understand how to keep that portion of who they are, that authenticity about themselves as they kind of move up the ladder. And that's, to me, that's the most critical part. That's been, I think, a big part of my success, has been able to keep my authenticity at every level.
That shows the purity of yours.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
So I'll put all your links, your website and your podcast and all your business links in the description of this video. People who wants to collaborate with you or to take your services, not only from US, from anywhere on this planet, if they want
Yeah.
to connect with you, they will connect with you, and I'm sure they'll improve their skills if they are not, and they will do business with you if they feel that whatever you said is right and commendable, and things that what you said is truly working and works for the
Yeah.
development of
Yeah. No,
the
I
society.
appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. Like I said, I know we've been trying to connect for a while. This has been well worth the wait, man. I'm excited for what you're doing, and I'm just glad that I've actually been able to connect with you, because another 6 months, man. You won't even remember me. You're gonna be like, Steve Worthy, who? I'm talking to Bill Gates. Now I'm talking to Elon Musk. You know what I mean? And so the fact that I'm actually able to get in here on the ground floor, I'm excited about that. Don't forget me. Don't forget me. We when you go, when you get there, dude. Don't forget me, man.
I'll definitely tell the leadership qualities and the experiences of yours which worked for you and which will definitely work for millions of people, to the Elon Musk and to the Bill Gates, when I connect with them, and definitely mention your name,
There you
and
go. There you go.
definitely tell the great work that you're doing.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that, man.
So at last, so have you seen any videos of mine on YouTube, and what do you say about it?
Your questions, right? I think everybody says this, that whenever I hear them talk about you, right, and the the level of the questions that you ask, right? I think there's a purity, behind the questions that you ask, right? You can tell. I've been on different podcasts and different things, and or talking to different people. You can tell when it's kind of scripted, and they have this set level of questions that they want to ask. I honestly feel and I felt like you were listening the entire time, and then every question that you had was based off of what I was talking about. And I know that's kind of sad to say, right? Because you think about people who are doing interviews, you think that they will be listening. Half the time they're not. I listen, you listen, but there's a lot of people out there. They just wait for you to stop talking so that they can ask that question that they've been, it's on their list. It's like number 3. Okay, I got to ask you. So what's your definition of leadership? Well, dude, we didn't even talk about that. We were just talking about like the flowers, right? But you want to know what my definition of leadership is? Like, stop it. Like, that's just one of those questions. And so, um, the fact that you were listening, you were asking questions based off of my responses, for me, put me at ease, and made me want to give you like more. You know what I mean? And your audience more, because I was like, this dude's listening. He actually cares. So I have to care even more. You know what I mean? And make sure that I'm helping his listeners out, right? And it almost felt compelled in a positive way to give more of myself during this video than I think I've actually had in a lot of other ones. And I think that's you. You put people at ease, and it's a great quality that you have, like that. You have approachability that we just talked about, like on camera, even from where you are. There's a measure of approachability that you have that puts people at ease. So kudos to you.
So I'm sure in coming days, you're going to be one of the important people on this planet, and who are going to create extremely positive effect, and who are going to be the main person who can create these leadership qualities that you have learned, that you personally have seen from different people, all your knowledge, all your personal thoughts about it. I'm sure every person who connects with you, every person who knows you, learn something from you, and I'm sure they'll be proud to connect with you, and they will educate themselves by seeing you, and learning from you, and then at the same time, I'm sure you'll be the reason for a lot of success people on this planet until the day you be alive.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that, man. I really do.
So thank you very much, sir, for giving me your valuable time and spending your valuable experience with my audience and to the world.
Thank you. Thank you. I have, like I said, I've been looking forward to this time with you, and I'm just finally glad that we actually got the opportunity to connect. And I just, wish you all the success in the world, man. All the success, and whatever that is for you, whatever that definition of success is for you, I wish it for you, and because you deserve it. Like I said, there's an authenticity. We say this. And I got some clothing coming out, and we say this, that authenticity has no competition. And hopefully we can connect. Maybe I'll get your address, and I'll send you one of those shirts, man. But I truly believe that with you, authenticity has no competition, man. And you are head and shoulders above a lot of people that are out there doing this professionally, like getting paid all this money. Like you are head and shoulders above those guys and gals. So kudos to you. Keep it up.
Thank you, sir. So at last, do you have any message?
You know, the one thing that we say, not just the authenticity has no competition, but we always talk about leadership as a journey. But for you to be successful, you have to be an active participant in that journey. You just can't be on the journey. You can't allow the journey to happen to you. You can't allow life to happen to you. you have to be an active participant, and you have to go out, get information, understand who you are so that you can say no to a lot of other things that are trying to vie for your time. But be an active participant in your journey. Don't allow your journey just to happen to you.
Awesome. So can I put this video and audio clip on my YouTube channel with your permission?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and also can I put this video and audio clip on my website, podcast, social media, internet, everywhere with your permission?
Absolutely.
So thank you, Steven. I'm
All right.
sure we'll connect again when you become big and when I become big.
All right, man. I appreciate you. God bless.
Yeah, take care.
All right.